So this is Advanced Steel 2019, and I'm running the new Graitec PowerPack 2019 R2 release. This recently came out in the last couple of weeks. In here I'm primarily going to focus upon the cold rolled element. We recently worked with a company called Thomas Panels, who are based up in Shropshire, I believe. So, and working with the guys there, we basically examined their product range and we added that into Advanced Steel. Hopefully some of you might have picked this up from the recent blog post by my colleague Rob. In here we sort of briefly explain what happens and how to go about getting the PowerPack and installing it. The primary area for that is obviously from the Graitec Advantage page. So if you're an existing Graitec customer and you already have the PowerPack, you can actually go down and just select it and select the download here. So you should be able to access your Graitec Advantage page. If you can't, you can always contact support and they can give you your login details. So to come back and sort of focus, so what's the detail of all this? So you can see this is obviously a model that has been created, and we actually use this model to test and actually do some initial training with some of Thomas's more closer clients. We asked for some feedback on what we'd actually achieved. So the initial one is obviously we can put everything in, so you can basically draw a model in Advanced Steel, and then you can use the standard tools to place purlins in rails. So you can use the tool that I've just selected, which is the purlin tool, and you can go along and you can select what you need to put in the various elements. I'm just going to make nope. So we've actually added the Thomas panel section into here, and on my system I've actually created a library entry to actually add this in. So what this does, this will actually change this to have the Thomas panels, and they're actually added into the system so you can see them here, and you have the full range depending on which section you pick, and depending on where you want to apply them, obviously on the roof or the side. You can use the same macro to apply them to the side of the building. You just need to pick obviously how many bays you want to go along in the building. I mean, I'm picking all of the columns here. Another little tip there as well, we use this all the time, is if you use the reference point at the bottom, you can actually change it so it sets the rails out from the bottom. And again, we tend to create some library entries. We normally teach this on our cold roll training course. So here the rails will go in and be set out from the bottom. Again, it's just a start point really. You can go in and adjust all this in here, but the important thing is that these have been added into this macro. So some of the other elements that obviously we led into that was actually to do the various joints, etc. So here, if we limit the view of the model, you can see that we've got a series of joints obviously been applied on the column here. This is the standard Advanced Steel single purlin plate joint, which is applied. So all the parameters when you apply this joint actually come in automatically. Okay, you shouldn't need to actually add anything unless you just turn bits and pieces on. So if you want stays and sleeves, etc., you can turn them on. That's also working with the master-slave relationship as well. Joint, so parent-child, sometimes it's called. And similarly here, we can do this one here as well. This is actually using a custom cleat connection as well. We put that in as well as an option. This actually uses the profile for a weld-on cleat. So that can be applied as well under initial joint selection. You get a drop down here. So we added various elements in to the model. If you want to use a standard plate joint, you can use this one, which is actually accessed using the same way. So here it just puts on a plate, so it's made from plate instead of a profile. So it's in the same group of joints here. Again, all the other parameters should be available, and you can come in and you can change them if you want, but you probably shouldn't need to. Everything should be set. Obviously, if you want to put a sleeve on, you would select it. It should be preset to pull up the correct sleeve when you pull it in, and likewise with the stays, when you activate them, they should turn them on as well. So you have single and double purlin joints. There's obviously eaves joints details as well, so you can see that at the head of the column here. We've put something in as into the standard joint that's available in Advanced Steel. So, and again, all the parameters should just come in by selecting the sections and following the prompts. You shouldn't need to do anything. It should all be pre-configured. The other, obviously, there's a single version of that as well, which is available on the end. So just show that one quickly. They all fundamentally work the same. You just need to obviously configure what you want. The extra bits are not in there, but everything should be in the library, in the table for you to access, and it should automatically assign. Some of the other elements that we did add in to sort of stick with joints is there's these kind of things here. This is the trimmer joints. So you can see I've created some model views. So within the model, there's a series of views here. So you can put trimmers in. So these are localized sections, and there is a trimmer joint entry available for the roof. Or on the side, use the same joint. So we've added, again, it's the library entries, it's all pre-automated. It should just put it in. You just need to select the sections. So you can put trimmers in the roof. Obviously, you can put window trimmers in here. You get short and obviously long cleat options there. You can see the short cleat at the top here. Okay, and packer plate options as well, and obviously countersunk bolts. So at the top and bottom, and this can be used in different configurations in the system. So you can do personnel doors around here using the same combination, and even the header to the door. So this is a short cleat option, again with a packer plate. Obviously I showed it being used up in the roof for a couple of roof light trimmers, and you can even use it in the context of a roller shutter door with some hot rolled framing behind it to form the cold rolled framing. And there is a trimmer base joint detail as well. There's a couple of options for those. There's a newer type which we actually added the entries into. So you should find it should just pull the cleat in, and obviously we've set it up to use that. All these localized joints are found under the connection vault. Obviously I've just stuck a bunch of them on my favorites tab here just to show them today, but it uses a combination of the purlins cold rolled and the fabricator specific macros as well. The fabricator specific macros is where you find the trimmer joints, and also the ones to do with mezzanine floors. So we've actually done the joints for the mezzanine floor as well. So within the model here, we have a mezzanine floor. We've done the insert, so you can actually add this via a macro. This is actually a joint to actually add in the insert, and obviously we've added in the Thomas panel sections so that they work within that joint. So that's the primary placement, and then there's single and double mezzanine floor insert beam joints as well. So it's all standard operation. You shouldn't need to change anything. It should just come in with a standard cleat. We do also have some oversail options if you have a different mezzanine floor where it's actually sitting above the top of the steel. There are cleat options for those, and they again are using a standard joint. Okay, we've used the cold roll down. We put the standard cleat in, which is the bolt-on cleat arrangement. These are all Autodesk Advanced Steel macros. There's no special macros for the primary input. All we've done is populated and added the profiles and data for the joints into the system. The final sort of aspect is obviously to look at the anti-sag restraint systems. You'll see that there is struts here. Again, this is being put in with a macro, and the data is being generated as soon as you select the options for this. It should put in a strut system on the side. We've actually put it into the side rail anti-sag. Again, everything should be pre-configured. You shouldn't need to actually go in and alter anything. It should automatically put them in. You can change the set out if you want. You can untick this, it becomes available, so you can move them around. So we've done that. I mean, you might need to tweak the tie wires and that. And then similarly, actually in the roof level, there is actually we've done the restraint system in the roof. Here we've actually used a macro for this as well. So again, it's a separate macro in Advanced Steel, and this one we've used the roof, sag and rod and tube one, and everything again it should all just come in when you put it in. It should all be pre-configured to work to the section sizes, etc., and place in the basic parameters that you need. We did do some slightly little different things for people. We did these are actually a custom connection. So this is actually a custom connection. We created a custom connection for this to put this element in to make sure the alignment was correct between the two systems. Also, Thomas had a particularly different way of doing their slotted cleat arrangement, so we had to work something out for that to try and get that to come in right. So that was a little bit tricky. It wasn't actually in a standard macro in Advanced Steel, so that option wasn't available. So we got around the problem and we created a custom connection. Those are stored in the system. If people wanted to use those, they can access them quite quickly. Just to show you where they are, connection templates. So these are the ones here. So if you open them, you'll see the custom connection templates have been added in here. So we have a series of templates available for each section size. Once you put it in, you only need to put it in once. You can copy it and you can adjust it inside the model if you need to. So it's quite flexible, and it does, as I say, give the exact cleat arrangement required by Thomas panels. So that's all the sort of primary aspects. The final one, I think, is actually the we did do apex tie as well. I just showed that in this model. I didn't have it in the other model, but we have worked with them to obviously complete the roof system, and this is actually the apex tie macro as well. Again, this has been configured to suit Thomas panels request. So this is the strut type, and there is also a rod type as well, which can be used. Again, these joints are available. I mean, you can add them to your favorites tab, but fundamentally we're using the ones that are on the system down here. So roof anti-sag, yeah, that one, the rod and tube, the side anti-sag, and the apex ties are down here. We also did a dedicated drawing process for them for Thomas panels. So if you want to sort of create a drawing, you can just press it and it will do every drawing in the model. It will do every element for them. It will actually do that. So it brings up a dialog. I obviously don't want to run every one, so I can actually override it and just do selected and let it run. So that so that is the drawing that's sort of been created. We've tried to create a template layout, follow that, so, and it should give enough information to go to them for processing, and it should run every single part that's required from the system. So that was really a very quick insight. Obviously there's a lot more involved in that than what's going on in the background, but just to give an overview of what we've actually covered in this update for 2019 R2, and obviously worked quite closely with Thomas Panels to achieve that. So hopefully you find that interesting and a good insight. If you reach out to them, I'm sure they can give you some more information, and if you're stuck and you want support, you can actually speak to the guys in support and they should be able to help you. Thank you.